Jasmine Jasovizzi is here. Don't forget to tap into the Darce podcast.
The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Tap into the Darce podcast.
Oh shit, let's keep the lights on, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another episode of the Darce podcast. Back at you after a long week off. Oh, I just got hit with a crazy Trevor Peak hammer fist. Slick will have something to say about that later on. Mr. Plus catching him. I love it, man. I'm here with my guys, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, Cal on the ones and twos. This is the Darce podcast, and we're breaking down every single fight, plays, all sorts of action on this Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady UFC Fight Night card. We're coming off the back of Caio Borralho doing his thing against Jared Cannonier and entering the top 5 in middleweight. Mr. Plus, holy shit, that was a late stoppage. Cannonier was out cold, and the ref must have known that I had a Caio by decision ticket because he let it go the whole way. Caio put a beating on him, man. Do you think that was a late stop?
I wish I would have talked to the ref before you got to him, man. I had round 5 by knockout plus 3,000. That when he was going down to sleep, and then it seemed like Kai just jumped on top of him and woke him back up. But yeah, that was late stoppage. No, it was a decision. It should have been a stoppage. There was no stoppage. But yeah, man, Borralho, the real deal. Wow, fighting nerds coming to town. Top 5 from the Contender Series, man, which is on tomorrow night. So you boys better watch that. Tune in too. But yeah, man, wow, I was an electric last fight for sure. I loved it.
I was looking for my glasses with the tape on them because I want to be a fighting nerd, man. These guys are the best, man. I absolutely love them. Yeah, wow, 2 sides to every coin, right? I win Caio decision plus 200. I needed it bad. I was having a down card, still had one. And Mr. Plus had the round 5 knockout that he should have cashed. Insane. Now the top 5 at middleweight, Slick, is quite interesting. I mean, we got Caio Borralho in there. We got Nasruddin Imavov floating around. And, of course, we have Sean Strickland ready to go back to war against Dricus. But what do you do with Izzy? Do you give him talks of Yuri Prochazka moving to middleweight? I mean, what do you do with top 5 in middleweight now with those 3 characters circling around?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really don't know because, do you really want to give Izzy Caio Borralho right now with his background pedigree and him going on a downward spiral? Do you give a up-and-coming contender that just beat Cannonier himself in Imavov, a guy like Caio Borralho? But I think Imavov is slated to fight Brendan Allen in Paris, and I think in a little less than a month from now. So that probably shaking up some things if Brendan Allen beats him. But man, Caio Borralho, he showed his toughness, he showed his durability, he took a lot of good clean shots from Cannonier, and that just goes to show you, this guy has never fought a 5th round, a 4th round in the whole UFC. And in that 4th and 5th round, he fought it like he's been there before. He fought that 5th round, probably one of the best in the middleweight contenders right now. A lot of 5th round is sloppy, like the 5th round against Dricus Du Plessis and Strickland. Strickland just throwing Hail Marys and Dricus trying to block him. And Caio Borralho, man, he's just one of those guys that gotta be worried about him everywhere. So I'm glad he cashed though, because I had so much riding on him. I just said I was a little drunk, and I said, man, I'm not hedging. I'm going with Caio Borralho all day. So glad he cashed over close to 10 units in parlays with Dana White Contender Series, with PFL, everything. So glad he cashed, man, and hopefully they give him a nice rank contender. I would say give him the loser of Hamza and Whitaker.
He's at that point. He's number 5, so he's right there. He's where Imavov is. I should have mentioned Imavov's got one more test to take on before his title shot, which he should eventually get if he can get past Brendan Allen. That's a good fight. And then they should do the same thing with Caio. Give him one more test in that top 5 area, maybe one of the guys Slick mentioned, and then a potential title shot for the fighting nerds. So really interesting stuff in the middleweight division. All of a sudden, the dominant champion Izzy is no longer, and it's up for grabs. Dricus is going to see if he can defend it a 3rd time. Strickland, I love middleweight all of a sudden again. You thought it was getting stale? No, sir. All right, it's time to jump into this week's card. Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady main event. And we're going to kick things off with the Mr. Plus Parlay Bus. All aboard the bus. Let's talk about 3 fights that are going to give us a plus 353 ticket this week. Talk to me, my friend.
If you guys like cash and plus 300s, listen up. All aboard the Mr. Plus Parlay Bus. Our first stop is an early leg. We're taking a dog to start off the Parlay Bus. Unpopular opinion here, but I like him a lot. Felipe Dos Santos, and he's fighting Andre Lima. You might remember Andre Lima, the guy who got bit on his bicep and disqualified the other fighter. And then maybe you saw him in his last fight. It was a split decision, not very impressive, versus Mitch Raposo. A little bit of a different style. Now, Felipe Dos Santos has, man, this guy's got nasty work on the feet. I think he's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller and longer, and I just think he's going to do his thing on the feet, man. This guy loves to kickbox. He's definitely got that pedigree to be able to do some jiu-jitsu work as well if he does get taken down. But that's, man, I just haven't seen enough from Andre Lima to make him a minus 200 and something dog. I gotta think this line's wrong, and I got it at plus 165 when I first put this in. It's already he's going down, Felipe Dos Santos. I think he's now only like plus 144. So we're definitely on the right side, in my opinion. And that's the first leg. For leg number 2, we're going to from a dog to a heavy favorite.
With Schnell Costa canceled, Petrosky is the new second leg.
I'm taking Alessandro Costa. He's fighting Matt Schnell, and Matt Schnell, 3 out of his 4 last fights are L's. Don't get me wrong, some tough competition. Got that Roy Val loss. I know Slick remembered that one and probably cashed in. I'm sure you guys remember the Nicolau loss. That one wasn't so great for me. And then Alessandro Costa, since this guy's been in the UFC, they kind of threw him into the fire, man. These guys both also have L's to Steven Erceg. I just like Costa. He's going to be the stronger guy in the octagon. I think he can control, and he's got some nasty work and power in his hands, man. If he lands one, I think he can put Schnell out. The last leg of the parlay bus, we're going to our guy. I know we're all on this one. Well, maybe not Cal, but we're going with Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia, Cal's our Canadian boy that runs everything, lives down the street from a gym, and he knows Kyle Nelson well, and he bets on him all the time as a dog. I think this is where he meets his match. The stand-up, the pressure, Garcia in your face. Man, I think Kyle Nelson's going nap time. I do think that the one knockout by Kyle Nelson against Bill Algeo was pretty impressive. And I know we all probably had Algeo, as we always bet against Kyle Nelson and lose. But he is a decision machine before that, man. He likes that up against the clinch, dirty work. And I just don't think you're going to be able to do that to a guy like Steve Garcia, bro. This guy's going to keep it on the feet where he wants it. His body shots are so intense, bro. He could hit the liver at any point in time, man. I think he puts this one away. We saw what he did to a nasty stand-up guy like Song Wong Choi in his last fight. Give me Garcia. Man, I'm going round 1's round 2 knockout. I think this one's over by the middle of the second round. Steve Garcia to close out the parlay bus. All aboard.
Boom shakalaka. I like it, man. Plus 353 on those 3 legs. Opening with a dog, closing with the mean machine, Steve Garcia, who had a sick knockout for the podcast last time he came out there. So plus, big fan of his. But like you mentioned, Cal knows the Niagara top team guys, knows a lot of Canadian fighters, and Kyle Nelson has been a dog that has been worth backing. I've been on the wrong side of a couple Kyle Nelson fights. So he's going to be interesting to talk about. And Cal, when we get there, I got to have you chime in. Let's open up with Felipe Dos Santos. There goes Slick catching a right hand to the internet connection. And we'll get him back in here in a moment, hopefully. But he's taking on a guy in Andre Lima that you mentioned, got bit by Igor Severino. How do you win your debut by getting bit? Like, that's just weird vibes. I agree. I was big on him against Raposo and I won that. But it was a little bit of an underwhelming performance. I disagreed with the split decision. I thought he won that fair and square, but I wanted to see him light it up a little more. He's got solid kickboxing. He's got good technique, and he has a grappling background. So Raposo wasn't really able to get the wrestling going, and it just ended up being a dud of a fight for him. And Lima stayed at range and clean and won a fair technical fight. But Dos Santos Slick is going to get in his face, right? He's got the hands. We saw him let his hands go against Manel Kopp on a week's notice and give Kopp a good competitive fight. Then in his last one, it looked a little disappointing against Altamirano. So what do we make of Dos Santos here? Is he going to come out with a full MMA skill set, put hands on dude, or do you expecting a close fight with Lima?
Yeah, man, I just think that Felipe Dos Santos is real live in this spot, man. Watching him on tape, I just think that the pressure is going to be able to favor him in the sense that Lima is one of those types of guys that he likes to keep the fight clean. He likes to implement his leg kicks from afar, and then he'll implement his dirty boxing if you try to get in the middle with him. So I think Dos Santos, one thing that I like about him, man, is his durability. Like, we seen him take clean shots from Manel Kape, one of the hardest hitting strikers in this division, and it just doesn't phase him. Like, this is a guy that's gonna keep coming forward all 3 rounds. And I would say I give him a little leeway from his last fight, man. Last fight, I believe they fought in Mexico. You know, the cardio and stuff like that is gonna get affected out there. And a guy that has fought in damn near Mexico his whole life, in Victor Altamirano, was able to just outvalue him in a fight that I honestly thought Dos Santos lost. I had him as a big favorite in parlays, and I honestly thought he lost. But it was just Victor Altamirano's volume that made it a little bit close, and that's just not Lima's game. You know, he's going to put out there probably 50, 60 strikes, and he's just going to be the more cleaner striker in a lot of his fights. But against a guy that's not going to be worried about the power, not going to be worried about the leg kicks, not even going to be worried about the grappling, because we've seen Severino had tons of success in the grappling against Lima. And if Dos Santos comes out there with some type of grappling game plan, implement his striking with his grappling, I think he's going to have success, man. So I actually talked to you about this earlier in the week. I said I had to do some tape study, and I watched my tape, man. So I'm gonna go with Dos Santos also.
I like it, man. It's an interesting fight for sure. But I like what you said about the pressure. I think that can make a key difference here. And Mr. Plus, I actually kind of misspoke when I was talking about this fight, because in my head, he lost to Altamirano, but they gave him the win and saved a lot of my money doing that. One of the rare times I'm on the right side of a robbery. You definitely lost that fight, but Slick makes the fair point. It was in altitude in Mexico City. Young fighter. It was a second fight. Okay, maybe we can forgive him. Did the odds makers do too much by flipping him to the dog now? Perhaps. I like the case you guys make for Dos Santos. The next leg that Mr. Plus talked about was Alessandro Costa. I know you're high on him too. Guy's a beast. Matt Schnell, poor guy. They give this guy murderer's row. I mean, he's faced tough competition. It's not getting any easier, Slick. Do you think he gets finished inside the distance again?
Yeah, man, this is just another Phil Hawes moment for me, man. Whenever you got a guy that's finished 6 out of his 7, 8 losses in the UFC, majority of them by knockout, it's just a concern, man. And Steve Erceg, outside of his knockout from Matt Schnell, he has went to decision damn near every time, other than him getting KO'd by Kai Francis last time. So that's just a questionable concern. Him getting KO'd by Nicolau. And the funny thing is, I have cashed fading this guy by KO. Everybody thought Erceg was going to submit him. I'm like, no, this guy's chin is done. He's going to get knocked out. And I'm going to do the same thing this fight. Alessandro Costa, if he wasn't minus 500, I honestly think that he'll probably be one of the biggest favorites. So give me Costa.
Schnell has not just been knocked out. He's been knocked out brutally. Like, they haven't been like, oh, taking shots, follow up, refs jumps in. No, they've been like out cold. So I don't want to see him get hurt too bad, but it's likely to happen. And we're likely to bet on Costa. And the last leg of the parlay bus is Steve Mean Machine Garcia. I mean, the guy is a menacing pressure boxer. He does not settle. And in my opinion, someone's going to sleep in this fight. If Garcia doesn't win, it'll be Nelson by knockout, because the way he's been fighting lately has been savage. Plus, talked about how he beat up our boy Bill Algeo, big dog in that fight, and he put the work on him. I mean, is that nasty version of Kyle Nelson coming back out and doing the same thing in a barn burner against Garcia? Cal, I'll let you kick this off to make the defense. What do you think about your boy Kyle Nelson in this matchup?
Yeah, with Kyle Nelson, I mean, obviously being a fan of his, being down the street, it sort of gives me that biased approach, but it's also allows me to sort of be in tune with his approach to each of his fights. I mean, a little bit misunderstood, comes into the UFC, gets a finish early in his career, but then he's all this bang or bust guy, right? Everybody criticizes him for his cardio. So he decides to slow it down, grapple a little bit, mix it up. Now he's known as the decision guy, even though he was a finisher initially earlier in his career. So he's always sort of misunderstood. And now he's like, I've had enough. He feels like he's worked out his cardio kinks. He feels like he's ready to go. And he's actually one of the highest level Muay Thai practitioners in this area. So with him and striking, this is going to be very interesting. The knees and elbows are going to be a problem. Garcia definitely could go in there and touch that chin and put him to sleep 100%. He can pretty much put anybody to sleep in the division. So as much as I'm like big on the dog money, I'm glad Kyle Nelson's at dog money. Otherwise, I would just be staying off this fight. I couldn't really go in at even a money line, with what Garcia does to guys. I think that this fight does end inside this distance. I think that, the one thing I just want to be careful with is Bilder was supposed to out wrestle him. Padilla was supposed to finish him, and LGO was supposed to outclass him. And what happened? Here we are.
Mic drop moment. Cal with the mic drop moment. I like it, man. Given the case for Kyle Nelson, who, great point about the Muay Thai style. Like, sometimes you see a guy fighting someone and like the opponent moving forward, it looks like they're just trying to hit like a metal box. And they're just like the metal box just keeps moving forward. And they're like, well, why won't this metal box go any? That's that Muay Thai kind of like devastating style. They just move up to you with that high guard, elbows and knees are there. Their leg kicks are like freaking steel. You kick them back, it's like kicking a pole. Kyle Nelson has that just like Muay Thai presence. So I really like that. He makes it tough for guys who can't stand up to that. I think Garcia will be a willing partner to trade, stand, and bang. Slick, what's your take on this fight? Do you think that that one guy is getting knocked out? And if so, do you think it's Garcia?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of those types of fights that you definitely want to take no distance, because I just don't think Garcia, other than him going to decision with Luis Pena, holding him for 3 rounds, the guy never went to decision, never has been over 1.5. So the guy is just one of those types of fighters that you want to back, in a sense that you know he's going to get the finish early. And honestly, I think he does, man. I just think that Kyle Nelson has been favored in a lot of the matchups in the style wise, for the simple fact that Padilla, he was one of those types of guys that knocked out Julian Erosa, but he always had a great grappling pedigree. Didn't go to that grappling at all in that fight. You know, Doo Ho Choi, who the fuck knew what Doo Ho Choi was going to come out after 4 years off? And then in his last fight, Bill Algeo, in the fight that you could arguably say was one of his first fights that he actually let his hands go. And Bill Algeo was kind of hurt. You could argue it was an early stoppage. I was actually there in Atlantic City. As soon as the ref stopped it, Atlantic City went freaking crazy, was booing the shit out of that ref. So I just think that this is a fight that Garcia is going to make him fight. He's going to put the pressure on him. He's going to back him up. He's not going to move backwards. And in that sense, I just think that Kyle Nelson is probably going to get in the fact that he's probably going to get hit hit once. And he's just going to think in his mind, like, I'm going to have to knock this guy out to win this fight. And in that simple moment, I think Garcia is going to be in the better brawler. And in that sense, I just think Garcia is going to clip him one time and just catch him. So I think Garcia is definitely worth a play by knockout in this spot. I just think, like you said, Kyle Nelson has fought guys like Jai Herbert, guys that try to keep the range. That's not Garcia. Garcia is going to put the pressure on you, put the pressure in your face. And if he gets knocked out, he will, but he's willing to go 1-for-1 with any fighter.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, man. And that's why I like Garcia too, and why I think the parlay bus will slap this week, is because he's not going to back down to the metal box that's moving forward. He's going to be winging overhand, sneaking shots through the guard, and I think Nelson will give him a good fight. I think we'll have moments on both sides. We're just holding on to something, right? Sit on the edge of your couch for this one, because it's going to be a banger. But I think it'll be a great fight that Steve Garcia finds, maybe a punch to the ear that wobbles the equilibrium. Nelson could take as much damage as anybody, but maybe it's that one sneaky shot that comes through that kind of changes the fight. Cal likes this boy, though, but even so, he finds a money line plan difficult, because Garcia's is that guy. So Mr. Plus with the plus 353 parlay bus. Hoping we catch that. All right, guys, good stuff. It's time for the Slick Report now. Salute. Slick, we got an interesting sort of pick'em spot on this card here. One of the best odds to bet in terms of the evenness on this card. Who do you got for us?
Yeah, we're going to go with the junkyard dog, Trevor Peek, in this spot, man. I really, really like him in this spot. Watching tape on Ashmos, I just wasn't impressed. Like, outside of his win from Dennis Hughes on a PFL, he has fought guys that combined 0-10 in his record. And that fight that Dennis Hughes in a PFL before his KO win against Sam Patterson, I just wasn't impressed, man. This is a guy that Dennis Hughes was trying to get the wrestling going against a guy that had solid defense. And Ashmo was just able to take advantage of the reversals, the scrambles. And I just don't think that Trevor Peek is going to allow him to do that, because the one thing that we've seen about Trevor Peek, he just doesn't get held down. This guy is always moving, always trying to get back up, always trying to grind on you. And the one thing that I've seen about Ashmos outside of UFC was this guy just doesn't like pressure. He likes to be the first one to throw a punch. He likes to be the last one to throw a punch. And Dennis Hughes was able to have success on the feet. But like Dennis Hughes, he has a wrestling background, so he was trying to get the wrestling going. And next thing you know, he'll crack Ashmos, and then next thing you know, he'll try to shoot a takedown, get reversed, and then end up on bottom. I just think if Trevor Peek is able to put the pressure on you from rounds 1 through 3, you're gonna break. Like, this is a guy that just has been able to do nonstop things to anybody. A guy like Chepe Mariscal that 10-8 Damon Jackson and 2 back-to-back rounds. Peak was actually hurting him on the feet. Chepe had to at least get some type of takedown and hope he could stay on top against Charlie Campbell, who we know is one of the top UFC guys that not a lot of people have been talking about. I just think this is a perfect matchup for Peak against a guy like Ashmos that's more one-rounded than anybody else. Like, I watched this guy on the regional scene. He throws left hook, right hook, and just hope it lands. And I just don't think he's able to get the wrestling going against a guy like Peak, in the simple fact that he's going to get the takedown, but he's not going to get no control. Ashmos is not that type of control type of fighter that you would think that will have to beat a guy like Trevor Peak. Trevor Peak, you have to hold him down. You have to keep him from getting up. That's not Ashmos' game. So I'm going with Trevor Peak in the spot, knowing that if this becomes a dog fight, I think he could be the bigger dog in this spot. So give me Trevor Peak money line. I'm not sure if he gets him out of there, because one thing I know about Trevor Peak, he has been going to his wrestling background. I mean, his wrestling in the last couple fights. But that just makes me like him even more, because before he was definitely a one-trick pony, worried about just the stand-up, worried about throwing hammer fists on the ground. So him going to the wrestling and him adding more things to his game just goes to show you that this guy could definitely be one of the most feared guys coming up in the division. So, and his chin is made of titanium. So give me Trevor Peak money line.
Drew Dober no longer has the hardest chin in the UFC. Who has I think it might be Trevor Peak. I mean, it's made out of concrete. It's made out of a cylinder block. Oh my God, the guy doesn't take damage. I like the case that Slick made for him. He's mixing it up, right? He came in, Slick said hammer fist on the ground. He actually meant hammer fists on the feet. Guy throws his right hand just in a hand at range. What's up? Jab, jab, hammer fist, standing. Like, what? That's psychotic. I love it. And he's starting to mix his game up, Mr. Plus. I mean, I like to see it. Like, he's fighting tough competition in the UFC. Minus 120. Slick almost making me feel like I should make this a big bet. Are you feeling good about Peak, Mr. Plus?
I'm feeling good about Peak. I really am. The human tornado, the Tasmanian devil. This dude just swings his arms. He lands. He takes damage. He doesn't care. Yeah, the Ash moves, people might be high on him because of that, going back to that Sam Patterson knockout. Obviously, that looked good. But just like Slick said, he got in close. He throws those hooks, and he landed a bomb. Patterson's got a weak chin, man. Like you said, his opponent's 0-10. Not very impressive. Trevor Peak's different. He's going to come at you. He's going to be in your face, man. Even that whole Chepe fight, I loved it. It was just that was my fight of the night that night, of course. Yeah, and I'm with Trevor Peak. I want to see him get back in the win column. And I think this is a good spot for him to do so. Minus 120. I'm definitely going a unit and a half, maybe even 2 units on him.
I'm thinking, should it be I was definitely going to throw one at minus 120. I'm thinking, should this be 2-3 unit play now? Because I really like the point Slick is making about mixing it up. Of course, Ashmos is dangerous with the power, but it was an overhand right to a tall fighter that literally was coming in while he was. Anyone could get it like that, right? It's the UFC. Anyone gets knocked out with that punch. Not
to Sam Patterson actually was cutting down weight, a shit ton of weight. Now he's fighting at 170. He fought Ashmos at, I think, 155. So
I was gonna say that was at lightweight. So weight cut Patterson. Got clipped with the perfect shot. And to Slick's point, and Mr. Plus' point, he said, I want to see him get back in the win column. Like, Trevor Peak is a fun fighter. You think the UFC wants to just put him through you think they want to Matt Schnell him and give him, the best of the division after? No, let him develop, let him grow. He gave Charlie Campbell, a sharp precision striker. He put him to the test. He gave him a tough fight. We were all probably pretty big on Mariscal on that matchup. I think that was Peak's debut. Dude, I was like, how is this guy giving Mariscal a fight? Like, how is he still in it? He's like Drekus. He doesn't make any sense, but he stays in the fight the entire time. So, backyard brawl in Trevor Peak. I love the Slick report. I think we all like it this week. So I'm going to make that a bet as well. Trevor Peak, looking to make it nasty, looking to get back in the win column. All right, my friends, time for the Brasco breakdown. And I'm going to go to a female fight on the card. We haven't talked about Natalia Silva taking on Jessica Andrade. I got to say, I've done pretty good betting on Andrade fights in my career. I have a feeling when I know she's going to come with the nastiness and the savagery, and when it's going to get done to her on the opposite end. And it's usually one of the two, right? She's kill or be killed a lot of the time. And Andrade had a run where she was just getting messed up. I mean, Slick remembers very clearly the triple naked left hook that she threw, trying to come in on Yan Xiaonan just to get cracked with the right hand back. put down. And that was when it was sort of like, what's Andrade doing? Like, she's just a headhunter at this point. But we know how dangerous she is. We know her explosivity and her ability to grapple up, right? That standing arm triangle on Amanda Lemos, like, fantastic work. And head slam knockout to become champion over Rose. Andrade has some of the craziest finishes, right? She also got crucifixed by Valentina Shevchenko. She also got knocked out cold by Yan Xiaonan. She also puts herself in a lot of danger when she can't have offensive success. And against a sharp young striker like Natalia Silva with a really good all-around game, BJJ background, I just don't think Andrade is going to be able to impose that will, impose that nastiness. Like, Silva's so clean and tactical. I think Andrade spends 15 minutes at the end of her jab, just getting jab, leg kick. Silva's got really good movement. I like her footwork and her lateral movement. And Andrade's going to do her best to get in close, get her hands on her, make it nasty, maybe get it up against the cage, try to get some dirty boxing going. But I just don't think she's going to have prolonged periods of success in this fight. I think she's going to spend 15 minutes chasing Silva. And it'll be a good, clean win for Silva, who will have a name brand opponent on her resume now if they're Andrade, and can say, hey, Dana, it's time for me to go towards, pretty near a title shot, because Silva's got that talent. So I'm going to take Natalia Silva by decision as my play. You're going to look at her on the odds and say, sick Brasco breakdown. She's minus 300. Awesome pick. But when props come out, go ahead and take a look at the decision, because I think Andrade will be tough enough to last. I think Silva will want to stay safe, understanding how dangerous Andrade is, and show the boss that she can fight a clean 3 rounds at a championship caliber level and get that next shot. So give me Silva by decision, Silva in a parlay. Natalia Silva is that girl. Mr. Plus, what are you thinking of her in this matchup against Jessica Andrade?
It's hard with the line for me. The line's a little wide. I feel like it could be closer, but I do like Silva, and she's made us some good money. Man, we've been betting on her last few fights, and she's been getting the work done. I really do think that Andrade is not done yet. So this could be a good spot for her if she could beat someone like Silva. But yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. Like you just said, she could spend 15 minutes at the edge of her jabs, at the edge of her punches, getting outpointed, getting outworked, getting basically out controlled in the octagon on the feet. She's gonna take this fight where she wants it. She'll cut the octagon off. She'll make sure she keeps her at distance and at bay. But man, Andrade is real strong. She's got those little jacked up arms, man. She's definitely, we saw that standing arm triangle, like you said. I've never seen that before, standing up. So man, it's hard to pick with this line. I mean, I might throw a plus money dog bet, maybe half a unit at Andrade, but the pick is most certainly Natalia Silva.
Interesting. That's how you see it as a gambler. You think Silva's probably the right side, probably going to win, but at these odds, you think there could be some value on sprinkling Andrade. Slick, she last got a win against Marina Rodriguez, and I had 2 units on her. I was worried they weren't going to give her that fight, but she got some late moments in that one. So what do you think of Andrade coming off that fight and into this one? You give her a fighting chance against Silva?
I mean, man, I really don't, man. This is just one of those types of Andrade is just one of those types of girls that she just lose to the up and coming girls. Like, she's just one of those types of fighters that if you're a step ahead of her in anything, you're more than likely gonna win. Like, she lost to Aaron Blanchfield. Aaron Blanchfield had the grappling. She lost to Suarez. Suarez had the grappling. She got knocked out cold by Yang Xiaonan. Yang Xiaonan probably the cleaner striker in that sense. I'm just not trusting her in this spot, man. Like, I honestly think Jessica Andrade is just probably playing that Andre Arlovsky role, one of those types of girls that just been there, done that in the UFC. So they gotta respect her, gotta give her more fights. And in the sense that she was just losing that Marina Rodriguez fight on the feet, and Marina Rodriguez in the first and third round, she just ends up throwing a body kick, and in the first and third round, she just trips. Andrade ends up landing on her and ends up winning like the last minute. So in a close fight, if the fight is close on the feet, they're gonna give it to the girl that's on top. I'm just honestly, man, I know what you're saying about the decision prop, but there's a world in me that I honestly think Natalia Silva can land a nice head kick and in just a quick opportunity. Like, the one thing that I loved about her in that Victoria Leonardo fight was that she was able to throw a jab with her left hand and throw that left kick 2 seconds later. So I could see that world, because Jessica Andrade, one thing that we know about Jessica Andrade, she does not block punches with her hands. She does not throw that guard up to block punches. She tries to rely on head movement. And I just think she's going to end up getting caught by Natalia Silva, man. Natalia Silva throws kicks like there's no tomorrow. And I just think that's a recipe for disaster to a girl that Andrade that wants to keep that range close. And if Natalia Silva gets the early side kicks, the teep kicks, the body kicks, the head kicks going in the first 2-3 minutes, she's just gonna feel comfortable more and more through the fight goes on. So if Andrade tries to get sloppy, I think Natalia Silva honestly can knock her out. But in the sense, if you want to play Natalia Silva, I want to see what the round 3 or decision prop is at. Because if it gets late, we've seen Natalia Silva have good cardio in that third round. We've seen Jessica Andrade just be able to beat a bully in that third round. So if she's not able to bully Natalia Silva and she's getting them leg kicks going, I can see a world where she gets caught. So round 3 decision for me, but I might be taking a small sprinkle on Natalia Silva by KO.
Oh man, I like the case for that. Mr. Plus, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say that this is the co-main event, right? This is a co-main. So
Yes,
if there's the last leg of one of your parlays, good hedge spot. We always like to tell you boys when you can make some money. If Silva's your last leg, you'll have an opportunity to guarantee profits for sure.
I do think, though, that Silva keeps this clean, that it's tough for Andrade to make it ugly, and that the younger up-and-coming fighter is the prospect to build, and that they will build her after she outlands her significantly. Next fight, who do we have? It's time for the dogs of the week. And I'm going to let them out they cage. Let's start with Mr. Plus. Who are you going with for your doge of the week?
Ooh, hell yeah. Let's jump right to the main event. And if you guys know who the favorite is, then you know who I'm going with. We're going with good old Gilbert Burns. Man, this is one hell of a fight, though. They paired him up with Mr. Brady, Sean Brady, and I do like both of these fighters. Don't get me wrong; they both have L's to Bilal Muhammad. I just think the experience is going to be better. I think Burns is going to be faster on the feet. Don't forget who he lost to, Khamzat Chimaev, in a crazy awesome fight. That was a close one, by the way. Some would say that Gilbert Burns won that fight. Man, that was a close one. And I'm telling you, I don't even think someone like Sean Brady, not that UFC math matters, would fight or take a fight with Khamzat Chimaev. That's just me. I like this spot for Gilbert Burns to get in the win column, show that he is still kind of that gatekeeper for the top 6, top 7 of his division. And I love his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I love his stand-up game. This guy's not scared to throw down with anybody, as we saw against Khamzat. I'm taking Gilbert Burns at plus money, and I didn't want to say it because I was telling you guys the hedge on the co-main, but I might have good old Gilby to end a couple of my parlays.
Oh, to end the parlays, Mr. Plus Money showing up for his namesake right there, ending the night with the dog Gilbert Durinho Slick. I mean, I had him as a dog against Jack Della, and he was winning the fight. I mean, the judges had him up. He was there, and then he gets reversed, and then he eats a knee from hell, and he had him. He had him. So I'm like, damn. And then meanwhile, just talking about last fight and impressions, on the Brady side, I had Kelvin Gastelum as a dog against Sean Brady there. Brady rinsed him. I mean, Brady worked him, mopped the floor with him. So against a tough vet like Gastelum, that was ugly stuff. So
Gastelum's not the same Gastelum anymore. Come on, he's not the same Gastelum that fought Izzy.
That was Taco Truck.
He's waiting in line at the taco stand.
Exactly, his freaking food and fighting podcast. Well, Slick, I got to hear from you. Brady, the Philly guy, you're a Philly guy, coming out of that Renzo Gracie Philly grappling. Who's grappling wins out in this after he rinsed Gastelum? Burns coming off the Della fight was so close. I mean, how do you think this plays out stylistically? Do two grapplers strike here?
Honestly, man, you know me. I'm one of the most biased guys when it comes to Philly guys. I fade them when I have to. I bet on them when I have to. Like Piper, we all know what Piper brings to the table. Petrosky, I said it last time. I'm only betting Petrosky because he's from Philly and he ended up winning against freaking Josh Frem or whatever his name is. So
that's his name.
Spot, man, that I was really tempted on taking Gilbert Burns, man. I was really looking at the odds and looking at the stuff that he has done in the UFC. But the one thing that I noticed about Brady, man, you could arguably say this guy has probably one of the best IQs in this division. And for the simple fact that I watched him in a lot of fights against good guys, like this guy has fought Jake Matthews, guys like in that pedigree. This guy has fought Kelvin Gastelum, Bilal Muhammad. And the one thing that I've seen about him in his game is that he's able to take a kick and just able to take advantage of whatever kick you throw at him. He's able to take advantage of the calf kick, the body kick, the high kick. and he's just able to work it into his game. And I honestly think Gilbert Burns, one thing that I hate about Gilbert Burns is that he doesn't know how to fight a clean fight. And that's one thing a guy like, when you fight a guy like Brady, is the type of fight you would want to fight. Keep the range, keep the distance, keep him away from you with the grappling. I just dislike the simple fact that Gilbert Burns goes for subs when he doesn't have them. And when you go for subs, when you don't have them against a guy like Brady, he's gonna stay on top of you for three minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it takes for him to win a round. So I'm not saying I'm going to bet. I'm not going full ham on Brady, but there's a word in my sense that I think Brady just hasn't been able to show too much stand up against the guys like Bilal Muhammad, that the ref for no reason whatsoever stopped that fight in Abu Dhabi. We are like, when you got an Abu Dhabi ref and an Abu Dhabi guy fighting, and a guy that's not from Abu Dhabi almost looking like he's gonna get TKO. The ref stopped it. It wasn't a TKO, man. Bilal Muhammad was just throwing punches on a guy that I would say that's like the Bill Algeo fight, against Kyle Nelson. It was just one of those types of senses that pressure beats moments, and Bilal Muhammad was able to beat him with pressure. But I just think Brady is, if he's able to get the takedowns in the spot, I think he's able to stay safe. I'm just not ready to say that Gilbert Burns just getting older and older every year. Like you said, against Jack Della, he took that crazy knee, took so many elbows on the bottom. I just don't think that he's in a world that if he's not throwing that overhand right to knock guys out, I just don't think he's more technical in the striking to really make Sean Brady really deter from going to his grappling route. So I'm going to take Brady, but I'm going to respect Gilbert Burns, man. I'm going to say he loses this fight by knockout.
Wow. So yeah, you said I'm going to respect Gilbert Burns, and you say he loses by that was disrespectful. Slick playing a little joke on us, ha ha ha. But honestly, I hate to say it, plus, but I think I have to be on the Brady side as a pick. I don't think I'm betting on this fight because minus 180 on Brady, I'm not in love with, but I might bet him by decision. I mean, I know Slick said the knockout after taking that damage to Della. I do think the one thing I'll say. Go ahead, Slick. Go ahead.
Morales by sub call right there.
Yo, you almost had it, bro. Michael Morales got the knockout and everyone's betting him decision. So, yeah, maybe you never know. The Slick Mushrooms play. But credit I want to give to Burnsy was that against Bilal, he broke his arm or his shoulder in the first round. So he was pretty much he couldn't wrestle. He couldn't grapple, and he could barely block punches with that side. So he was resigned to just tough it out and lose a decision. Like, that's what tough-ass fighters do. They're like, fine, I'm going to try my best, but I'll just go the distance, and that'll be my win, knowing that I fought hurt. He is probably the better striker, but I just don't think he's good enough to take advantage of Brady, like sort of how Slick said it. And I think Brady ends up keeping positional control. I think position beats submission, so to speak, in this matchup. I just, if this is like minus 180, like plus 150 on Burns, I feel like it's candy. I feel like it's candy. They're dangling in front of me. Plus, tell me why it's worth taking a bite. Give me one more reason.
It could be bait. It could be bait, man. But I think we're all a big fan of the Matty Bets guys and that Show Me the Money podcast, which is made up of Burns and Moicano and Matty. And we went up to their studio that one time.
That's right. That's right.
They talk to them all the time, man. And whenever they call their own number like that, they kind of come through. So I really like I really just like that Burns has all this experience. Like Slick said, he can make this ugly. I do agree with Brady having a good IQ, but I think if he's in a world of pain and Gilby puts it on him, man, I don't know. I don't know. These are two great fighters, though, and there's a reason why Brady only has one L on his record. So he's definitely not a bad fighter. I'm taking a dog shot. Maybe he'll be in one parlay, but I'm definitely, my theory of the end of the night is always to take the dog anyway, because everybody's going to be heavy on the favorite, try and close out their parlays. It's a good parlay killer at the end of the night. So I'm going plus money, and it could be bait. It could be bait. If it is, take my money.
Yeah, right. Sometimes that's how you got to roll with it. You're like, you know what? Prove me wrong. Then he's going with Durinho, the Florida guy. Yeah, that's right. We were in the Gino. Shout out Gino from Bet Openly in his studios down in Boca Raton. The Homo Fight guys. Shout out Homo Fight. They're doing a great job with their channel and the Show Me the Money pod. And they backed Moicano when he fought Jalen Turner. He came up huge for them. So maybe they can make the call on Burnsy again. I'll be hyped for them if he does, but I think Brady's coming out of here with a win. You're going Burnsy, taking the shot on him, and I like it. I'll be happy if you win, man. All right, guys, let's build ourselves a Darce parlay. Lay some up, and let's get 3 legs. Let's cash it for the people. Let's get back on our winning streak. Mr. Plus, start us off. Who's the first leg?
All right, could be the most boring fight of the night. I am not going to lie. This might even be worse than the Demopoulos fight. It could be the worst fight of the night. We're going with the straight. Is this even going to be MMA or is this just going to be a wrestling match? I'm going with Andre Petroski to get in the win column. I do not believe in this Dylan Budka guy, man. Never impressed me. Not on the Contender Series. Not in any of his. Not in his. I think he only fought 1 fight since then. Man, they're moving him up too quick, man. I think Petroski will be better everywhere. Not that he's good. And he's just not. I'm not a huge fan. He did get the Josh Frem W. That was a fucking barn burner sweat. I am going with the better wrestler. I think he's going to be the stronger guy in there. I don't think that this Dylan Budka has enough experience yet. And I think the line is right on the money at whatever it is, minus 320. Yeah, if this pick loses, call me crazy, whatever. But I'm going with Petroski to get the job done. I think it's all day for him.
Andre Petroski, minus 278 right now. So, okay, not too bad. We can get
30-27, by the way. It's not going to be a knockout, a finish. This will be boring.
I mean, maybe the unexpected happens. You never know. But if this turns into 2 wrestlers striking, prepare yourselves for an ugly one, folks. Please, God, don't let that. Just let him get a takedown and lay on him for 3 rounds, which is what Petroski did in his last fight. And can you blame the guy? Because prior to that, he knocked himself out on someone's hip bone shooting a takedown. If I do that to myself, I'm laying on you in the next one for a win. Slick, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, man. Another one of my Philly guys, man. Petroski, even if this fight ends up staying on the feet, I just think Petroski has the way more power. Bucka, from what I've seen from his regional tape, he's legit wrestling or bust. Like, he's legit. Like, the guy, like, Malachi, you want to throw some punches real quick? My son probably throws punches better than this guy right now. Like, Petroski by a humping.
There you go. Not safe for work content right there. By the way, for reference for viewers of the podcast, Slick's son is 3 years old, 4 years old now. So that's the level of hands we're talking about in comparison to Dylan Budka. Now I got to see it. Now I got to see them stand and bang. All right. We're starting out with Andre Petroski, Philly in the building. Slick, who do you got for your leg?
Yeah, we're going to go to a fight that not a lot of people has eyes on, honestly. We're going with great Gabriel Santos in this spot. What I've seen from Yiza in his outside UFC realm or whatever, he's just wrestling or bust and grappling or bust. This guy doesn't have good striking on the feet. I think Gabriel Santos has way more of an arsenal on the feet. And his background is basically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and grappling. I just don't think Yiza is gonna is gonna be able to take advantage of the grappling. I think Santos is gonna be able to hold his own. I think he's gonna be able to stuff some takedowns. And one thing what I've seen from Yiza, he's more of a single leg type of takedown guy. He shoots for that single leg. And I just don't think, like, for you to really out grapple a guy like Santos, I think you're gonna probably have to put him on his butt. He's not gonna let you take his back. And if this fight is standing, I think Gabriel Santos is just gonna piece this guy up. Good bounce back spot for him after getting a guy that has that. I would say back-to-back guys. Like, this guy has just fought 2 killers back-to-back, Lerone Murphy and David Onama. We know what David Onama brings to the table. We know what Lerone Murphy is. And I think he's top 10 in the division right now. So, hey, man, give me Gabriel Santos to get a nice bounce-back win against a guy that I would say UFC just signed him for a short notice fight.
Interesting. So I like this a lot. I really like Gabriel Santos as a favorite here, a parlayable favorite. So I'm glad we talked about this fight. He's super sharp, man. He looked great in that Lerone Murphy loss. It was a split decision. I mean, that age is like a fine wine, Mr. Plus. And then, David Onama, what are you going to do? That's the guy who gives you a tough fight. So I think Gabriel Santos has a chance to show his skills here and get a dub. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. This is a great spot for Santos. Yiza, like Slick said, is one of those guys who's going to do single legs and come in close. And I just think that he's going to get pieced up. And when he tries to get that single leg, he might get a guillotine. I could see Santos winning by guillotine, choking the neck, taking him down, kind of like how we saw Jesus Aguilar the other day. Yeah, I definitely am not a huge fan of these road to UFC guys, to be honest. I mean, I think all the contender series guys way trump these road to UFC guys. So yeah, just not a huge fan of them. And Yiza, yeah, you gonna get your ass kicked.
Amazing. Yeah, that was so good. You know, what is it about the road to UFC? You're right. I mean, the competition is just a little lower level. And it's not like they don't have great martial arts in Asia. I mean, the shit was invented there. But like in terms of MMA, I think maybe they have less wrestlers, right? Or they're getting less jujitsu. I don't know. I mean, I'm not grappling over in Asia. Slick, what do you think is the reason?
I honestly think no racist stuff. I love my Chinese people. I honestly think they only got the road to UFC in Chinese because I mean in that realm because nobody else is gonna make it no other way. Like we got like Korean Zombie, one of the Rinya Nakamura that freaking fought on the road to UFC. Like, what other Chinese guys other than Zhang Wei Li, maybe girls? I mean, and
Yan Chanan.
Like y'all. Other than that, what other is they really producing? Like, they're having a whole card in Macau, China, and they're putting UFC road to UFC guys on there. So it's like. I just think they're only doing that because not a lot of people are coming out from China, that Japan and stuff like that. So they're doing them guys a favor and giving them basically their contender series.
Well, they got to build up the market. I mean, the UFC's over, they're all building markets. Francis Ngannou over the PFL, head of Africa chapter, they're all trying to build up fight markets.
And not to mention the last event in China, we know what happened to Korean Zombie. So
sadness, yeah. So that the send off was electric in your head. I was so hyped. I was like goosebumps. But
yeah, we were all crying and shit.
Are you crying? Am I crying? No, I'm not crying. You're crying. It's okay to cry.
It was crazy.
So electric. Song you down.
I was crying for like the first 3 minutes, but when Holloway got that KO, cha-ching.
No, it's so lit. It was so lit. Amazing though. Amazing. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Asia MMA market, of course, martial arts in Asia philosophy. It's where it originates from. But yeah, funny enough, like you see the American wrestlers, the Brazilian strikers, the fighting nerds. Like these are the international markets that are just like they have the specialties to them. All of a sudden, they're changing. The jiu-jitsu practitioners are now some of the best strikers in the UFC. So it's just fascinating to see where the martial arts from all over the world influences. What else do we have left, guys? Oh, I have to close out the Dars parlay. And that's going to go with Natalia Silva. We get plus 147 on the parlay. And like Mr. Plus mentioned before, you can hedge it with Andrade at the end and you're automatically making money. You're in the cash right there if Santos and Petrosky win, which I think we're in a good spot to get those done. All right, there you go for the Dars parlay. Couple fights left to talk about, fellas. The honorable mentions, the ones we haven't chatted about yet. Mr. Plus, Isaac Dulgarian, minus 1,800, taking on Brendan Marotte. Dulgarian, beast. I mean, does he live up to the tag here?
Yeah, easy win right here. Dulgarian round 1 is the bet. Maybe round 2. And you'll probably get better plus money if the dude can survive. But yeah, this isn't even fair. What were they doing here? What's really going? Why? Who is this guy stepping in? I don't know. Dulgarian hopefully he doesn't murder him in there. We don't have to watch a Rocky 4 episode or something,
I remember when Max Holloway fought Calvin Kattar and he pieced him up into oblivion. That was the first time UFC was on ABC, and it was in the daytime. I think that card was in like broad daylight. And I was watching with my buddy who was a boxer, and he was like, "Damn, they're just broadcasting a murder in broad daylight, like murder on."
You
TV.
remember that? But he was hitting him and yelling at maybe it was the announcers
I'm the best boxer. I'm the best boxer.
That was crazy.
That was murder on TV. So plus hoping that we don't see that again with Dulgarian to Brendan Marotte. What do you think of Marotte's fate in this one, Slick?
Under half a round is what I'm a bet in this spot. Isaac Bulgarian is gonna get a takedown probably within the first 20 seconds, and after that, it's all hell on loose on him. Like I what I've seen from Isaac, other than him getting robbed clear as day against C-Rod, making me lose 3 units because of them dumbass judges. We're gonna move forward, and I'm gonna win it. Hopefully, we get some good odds, probably like minus 140 for Isaac Bulgarian first round. I think that's a lock.
You think round 1 is going to be minus 140? Damn. This fight ain't going 2 minutes. I mean, under half a round. Take down, ground and pound, get him off you within 60 seconds maybe. Save the guy. Holy shit. Yeah, coming off that split loss to C-Rod, super controversial. Close fight. I also thought Bulgarian won. They got to get him back in the win column. They give him Brandon Marotte. I don't think it's short notice unless they didn't plan to have him on this card. I don't see any other opponents that were scheduled. So, Brandon Marotte, God bless. God bless. Next fight and the last one of the night that we have to talk about is Jacqueline Amorim taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Okay, I'm going to Mr. Plus because he's weirdly has the read on Demopoulos. Her fights make no sense, and he's the only one that can make sense of it. So you take the wheel, bro.
No, she's the female version of Dricus Duplessis. Nothing makes sense, and she gets dubs. And her last 4 out of 5 fights are W's. Few of them, or a couple of, I think it's 2 or 3 of them, are split decisions. So yeah, I think if this goes to the judges' scorecard, there's a world where she gets her hand raised. I'll tell you what, I'm not putting Jacqueline in any parlays. Although she could get the job done by sub, which is super live. Demopoulos is pretty strong. She doesn't like to take that. She's not just gonna lay down and get subbed. She's one who gets back up when she gets taken down. If she gets taken down, and man, she's a little brick shithouse, man. She's got some guns on her too. Her and Andrade, the 2 gun ladies, gonna be on the same card. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. There's a world where I sprinkle Demopoulos again, half a unit. I mean, even if I take her and she loses, I'm still up a lot of coin on her thanks to all the split decisions. I've had her 3 out of her last 4 wins.
That's incredible. Yeah, you said she's 4-1 in the UFC in her last 5 fights, and I gasped. I was like, what? She's 5-1 in her last 6. What? Who knew? She'd probably been a dog in all of them. That's insane. Slick, it's 2 grapplers, right? Demopoulos can pull off some wrestling and some submissions, and with the triangle chokes here and there. And then Amorim is known for her submissions, right? She likes throwing up arm bars from the full guard. Do you think Amorim just finds a sub, or do you think this goes long and it gets to a dicey decision where Plus is licking his chops for the split?
I mean, honestly, man, I'm going to just keep it short and sweet. This is just one of those types of fights that if I was to bet a money line, I will bet on Vanessa Demopoulos for that. Like, I just don't think Jacqueline, she has been tested before against Sam Hughes in that 2nd and 3rd round, but then she comes out looking great in her last fight in the 2nd and 3rd round. Not her last fight, because her last fight she won in like 20 seconds. So this is just a spot that I'm gonna bet Amorim by sub if I get at least plus money on it. If not, I'm probably just gonna stay away from this spot all around.
Feels like a good stay away spot. Yeah, she got worked by Sam Hughes. It's kind of proved that she had bad cardio issue, Amorim. And then she worked on the cardio and got, went long against Montserrat Ruiz and got a late finish. So, all right. I mean, I like Amorim to win, but that fight, I'm not betting that fight at all. And we have covered all the fights except one, actually, fellas. There's one more.
2.
There's 2 more. Well, tell me what I'm missing because I have
the opener with Fletcher and then the Padilla fight, Chris Padilla.
That's right. 2 more, in fact. So I was going to say they added Nathan Fletcher versus Zigomantis Ramaskas to this card. It was supposed to be on the last card, but late pullout. And we get it back. The odds, I wonder if they've shifted at all. Let me just take a look, or if they're up even. I don't even think they're up quite yet. But I was liking Fletcher at around the minus 140 spot. And I think people are going to be interested in Zigomantis because he's a highlight striker. But Fletcher is a guy that trains in Liverpool with Paddy and Molly McCann. And I actually think he might be one of the best all-around guys on The Ultimate Fighter. He just took on this guy, Con Offley, who ended up getting knocked out cold by Myron Santos. But Con Offley's good. I mean, it didn't show in that fight, but he's freaking good. And Fletcher fought that entire fight with a broken fibula. Khan broke it with a low kick, right away to start the fight. Guy's tough as nails, and he's got a good training camp. So I think he shows that he's probably the more complete MMA fighter against Ziggy, who people will probably bet because he's fun and exciting. Did you watch, Mr. Plus, did you watch Ziggy at all on The Ultimate Fighter this year? And what do you think of the matchup?
I haven't watched Ziggy on The Ultimate Fighter. I have seen the Fletcher fight though, and I'm with you. I'm leaning on the Fletcher side. This isn't one where I'm going to make a bet though. These guys are both too new. This is their first UFC fight, both of them, real UFC fight. So yeah, I don't know. I tend to stay off guys that are brand new like that, but I'm excited to see them, and then maybe we could bet on them their next fight. But yeah, I do lean the Fletcher side, and I'm anxious to see where the line ends up being. For sure.
That's a good point, too, for MMA bettors. You don't have to bet every fight on the card. You don't have to bet every fight just because it's coming up. You could take notes for one fighter and say, hey, these are two new guys, like Plus is saying. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to watch them, check them out, see who I like. Slick, do you know why the fight was canceled the previous week? Do you know if one of them pulled out for an injury or anything that we should be concerned about?
I mean, not even worried about one side. Both these guys had staph infection. Like both of them had staph infection going into that fight. That was probably why. Because Nathan Fletcher, I watched him on Instagram Live, and he was saying that he had the staph infection, but he was still ready to fight. I think the guy on the other guy's side, I'm not even going to try to say his name right now, had a more severe staph infection, and he probably, held back. Dana White probably told him that, you guys could fight in 2-3 weeks at the end of the day. And I was on Nathan Fletcher already before knowing about the staph infection. I had him in a parlay, had him as a straight bet. And I just think like this is one of those types of fights that he could honestly break his opponent without breaking him. Like in the sense that his opponent's probably going to throw some good hard punches. Nathan Fletcher going to eat some good punches, and it's just going to deter the guy from really going into his all-around arsenal and on the feet. I think Nathan Fletcher is going to get in the clinch, make it dirty, wear on him, in the sense that I just think the guy that he's fighting is just hasn't really been tested in the sense. Like Nathan Fletcher, he has a great chin, hasn't really I haven't really seen him like get all the way hurt. He's has good recovery in the sense that if he gets dropped, what I've seen from the regional scene, he's like Moicano, like he gets dropped, he's coming right back up there trying to get a takedown or something. So I think it's a good spot for Nathan Fletcher. I was gonna bet on him with staph infection. So hopefully he's coming into this fight without staph infection. I would like him even more. So odds on the last fight was like minus 150 Nathan Fletcher. Honestly, seeing the odds being the same thing. I think maybe you get a little bit of comeback on Nathan Fletcher, maybe make him like minus 150. I mean, like minus 160, minus 170. But I'm gonna keep on. I'm gonna keep on. I like what I've seen from Nathan Fletcher. I think he probably wears on the guy in the second and third round once he's seen his striking isn't going. So yeah, give me Nathan Fletcher money line.
I like it, man. I like the pressure. I think he takes him to the ground, takes over. I think it'll be just like that. I like it, dude. And there's your Slick report, right? Both had staph. Yikes. Maybe if Ziggy had it worse. Ziggy's had a tough run, by the way. In the Ultimate Fighter, he couldn't fight the finale because he had some bones broken in his face, like some slight hairline fracture in his face bones. So they postponed his finale, even though he had won the fight. And he's been waiting for this fight. And he even got one. He's like, the UFC blessed him and said, you know what? Even though you didn't get to fight your finale, you're still fighting in the UFC. And then he gets staph infection. I mean, the guy's going through it. So tough stuff if he loses to Fletcher, but I think it's going to happen. We have Rong Zhu taking on Chris Padilla as well. Rong Zhu, minus 285, pressure fighter, coming in your face with boxing combinations, looking to make it nasty against Chris Padilla, a guy who got an unlikely rear naked choke win in his last fight. Impressive upset performance. Mr. Plus, you thinking he's worth a shot again?
Coming in your face is crazy.
Did I say that? Damn, I'm cooked. I'm on the internet saying that live.
Oh shit! I am going. I am taking a shot at the dog on this one. You know why I'm taking a shot at the dog? We've only seen him in one fight, but it was against James Lontop, who we just saw last week go to war with Slava Claus. And not that Slava Claus is like wants to grapple. He can grapple, but he's way more of a striker. He likes to strike and keep it standing. That's his thing. But it just goes to show you, a guy like Chris Padilla can come out there, take this guy's back, and submit a guy like James Lontop, who doesn't look like he wants to be submitted. This guy was a banger. I mean, he went the whole fucking round with Slava. Wow, the whole fight with Slava. I really thought James Lontop won that fight. By the way, I had him as a plus 180 dog, but that's okay. It was close. They gave it to Slava on unanimous decision. I like Padilla, the dog shot. This Rong Zhu, again, another road to UFC guy. Man, I really like the dog money here. I think this line's off. How are you going to give it a road to UFC guy at minus 285 tag? Not seeing it. I'm taking the shot on the dog here. Probably half a unit or 3/4 of a unit.
There you go. Going just straight fading the road to UFC guys is Mr. Plus the strategy here. And you just don't, I mean, Padilla was impressive getting that win, that rear naked choke. He's obviously got the grappling. Slick. Coming off his road to UFC win, rear naked choke over Shin Haraguchi, a fight that I didn't see. So you got to tell me, I mean, does Rongju have the grappling chops to get it done wherever the fight goes? Like, is he worth being near minus 300?
Yeah, I'm gonna play the Paul Craig special in this spot. I'm gonna play Chris Padilla by sub because Rongju, whenever he's on the opposite side of another good grappler, he just doesn't know what the fuck to do. Like this is a guy that I think 5 out of his 7 UFC losses have come by sub. Like I'm not like this is a guy that's 14-0 to the KO. Like I'm gonna bet him by KO and I'm gonna bet Padilla by sub and hopefully we get at least plus 200 each on those. I'll probably get more since Padilla is a nice sizable dog. Probably get his sub like +4, plus 500. But I'm gonna play it both sides. I think Padilla gets his grappling going. He's gonna probably sub a guy like Rongju. I just don't think he knows what the fuck he wants to do when he comes into the octagon. Like this guy that has subs, has knockouts, but then next thing you know, he's on the wrong side of subs. He's on the wrong side of wrestling exchanges, but then he ends up knocking guys out. Am I gonna say that he's gonna out grapple Chris Padilla? I don't think so. Do I think he might KO Chris Padilla? I think so. Same thing with Chris Padilla. Do I think he's gonna knock out Rongju? No. But do I think he's gonna sub him? More likely than not. Like this is just a spot I'm gonna play both sides. I'm waiting for odds to hurry up and drop because I know one of the other is gonna get deterred. I'm gonna play plus. Hopefully, I get plus 200 each side.
There you go. You could play both methods, or you could try to find the alternate double chance method of victory. Rongju by knockout, Chris Padilla by sub. I don't know what odds you're going to get on that. Maybe not too great because those probably are the two most likely outcomes. And I hope we get a banger there, low key potential fight of the night candidate there. So we'll see. I think. By the way, I was thinking. Rongju is the guy that got Bravo choked by Ignacio Bahamondes like 5 fights ago. That was sick work. So if you get Bravo choked, maybe you can get rear nakeded by Chris Padilla. And the last fight of the night that I almost skipped over is a fight that I wish we could skip over because these two guys make no sense either. This is the card of nonsensical fighters. It's Ryan Superman Spann and Ovens I will not go away, St. Preux. That's not his nickname. I don't know what it is, but he's still fighting, and everyone called it over for him against Kennedy and Nzechukwu in his last matchup. He was a massive underdog, maybe plus 800, something like that. And everyone said, bro, Kennedy's going to put him in a Muay Thai clinch and knee him, and it's going to go night-night. It's going to be a horrible ending to a veteran fighter. Nope. Decision win. Outpointed him at range. I mean, Kennedy looked terrible, and OSP looked decent. So now I'm like, where the hell is this guy in his career? Because he looked awful prior to that. Speaking of prior to that, Ryan Spann, what in God's green earth is happening to this guy? I mean, he looks so dangerous, knocking dudes out, power jabs, and then losing to like Anthony Smith. And I can't understand if this guy's ever going to achieve his potential. If he's ever going to actualize his talent. He's dangerous as they come, but he finds a way to lose fights, it feels like. So I hate that he's a massive favorite, but I think he is going to beat OSP. I ain't betting it. Slick, how do you bet this fight?
Just take the fight to not go the distance in all your parlays. I would say outside of Isaac Dargarian, this is probably one of the most lockable spots in the card. Like Ryan Spann, he just has shown that he has 0 fight IQ. This guy he just doesn't know what the fuck he wants to do in there. He's submitting guys, putting them to sleep with a guillotine. Next thing you know, he's getting knocked out by guys like Johnny Walker, guys like freaking getting out decision by guys like freaking Anthony Smith. Like it's just one of those types of fights that I'll probably stay away from. But the fight to not go the distance, if he does try to put at least the slightest bit of pressure on OSP, what I've seen from OSP is he just tries to shell up and just tries to hopefully doesn't get out there with a lot of damage. But if you don't try to put a pressure on him like Kenny Nzechukwu wasn't doing, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, then you'll get outpointed and out because the OSP does have defensive grappling. He'll keep the fight on the ground. Fight on the feet if he wants to. So Ryan Spann, I don't know what you're going in there thinking, but if you ever see this podcast, Just go in there, tap OSP's hands at the beginning of the fight, and in the next 10 seconds, just blitz the fuck out of him. You will knock him out in the first 30 seconds. But other than that, you will get outpointed or you will get freaking highlight subbed by OSP saying a 42-year-old guy is subbing a guy like Ryan Spann. So, yeah, Ryan Spann by KO or OSP by sub, but more than likely fights and not go the distance.
This one should, I mean, again, their fights don't make any sense. So I'm worried because I absolutely agree with Slick. No way this sees the scorecards. Like, plus, Ryan Spann, after he beat the crap out of Misha Serkinov and, great highlight reel, ground and pound, beat a grappler too. We're like, nice, he beat a grappler. Then he gets rear naked choked by Anthony Smith. We're like, fine, it's going to happen. But he comes back, he guillotines Jan Kutalaba, he knocks out Dominic Reyes with that jab, and then 3 straight losses. Triangle choke by Krylov, split loss and a close one to Smith again, couldn't right that wrong. And then Bogdan Guskov in a fight that he looked like he was about to sub Guskov. Turns around, gets knocked out in round 2. Like, can you possibly trust Ryan Spann here?
No, you can never trust Ryan Spann again. The trust is out the window. He's like a dude who you lent your bike to, and now it's 6 fucking months later, you need your bike back, and he's gone. He's not coming back. Your bike is gone. It's his bike now. I don't like Ryan Spann at all. I know that OSP is damn near 50. What's he, 41? Oh man, this fight is gonna be crazy. I agree with Slick. It probably does not go distant. I don't think it sees the end of the first round. Spann could definitely blitz. That's one of his powers for his Superman. His one of his weaknesses is his fight IQ. This dude is kill or be killed. And I can never count on him. And at minus 500, that's crazy. You better believe I'm going to sprinkle a quarter unit, maybe even half a unit on OSP, just based on how low Spann's fight IQ is. And listen, I could never get Spann right. Every time I'm on him, he loses, and when I'm on the other side, he wins. So I can never get Spann right. He's just the guy that I definitely don't like betting on or against. I will be taking my little Henny break during this one.
You said it on an episode previously before, and Cal is probably ready to chime in. Spann is banned. Cal, you got to find the highlight.
Yes, Spann is banned, and he had the guillotine in his hands, and the man did not have his hand raised at the end of it. So here's the bottom line on this one. There is no bet in this one, guys. You guys are saying the fight doesn't go the distance. Is it for sure? No, it's not. OSP losing every fight was a for sure thing. Then all of a sudden he showed up last fight. These guys zig when they're supposed to zag, left when they're supposed to right. It's a bunch of bullshit. These guys are Mike the Cooler with the picks, okay? I'm sorry, just don't make any bet on this fight. Don't parlay anything because it's going to go to decision. Don't do it. Just stay off the fight, drink some Henny, and chill.
That's why we keep Cal around. There's a voice of reason coming through from the heavens. Yes, Spann is banned. You said it. Let's not forget the proverbs, right? I love it, Cal. Spann is banned. Take a break. Take a drink. A drink break. I combined 2 words. All right, fellas, we did the damn podcast. The Darce, Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady UFC Fight Night. I'm excited for the card. Slick likes Trevor Peak as his breakdown. Mr. Plus got a plus 353 parlay bust with Dos Santos, Costa, Mean Machine, Garcia to close it. That's electric. I'm liking Natalia Silva in the co-main event. And we got an interesting main event, man. Brady Burns, the 2 best grapplers in the welterweight division, perhaps. And it should be an awesome one. So thank you guys for watching. Please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't yet. And lock in with us every week for MMA picks and breakdowns. Mr. Plus, give us some parting words.
If you're mad when you lose, you're betting too much. Make sure you remember that one, boys. Take it a unit at a time. Go small. There doesn't have to be a get back. These fights can be fun to watch, and action is fun. So have a good time. Don't gamble above your means, and let's keep this rolling, man. Let's keep the Darce going. We got to get the subscribers up, man. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Make sure you throw the notifications on so you know when we drop brand new reels or videos just like this. And yeah, Cal on the 1s and 2s, always holding it down. We appreciate you, my dude.
Yo, for real, man. It's a great way to close out. So thank you very much, man. And let's keep it going, guys. Let's cash in. Great words for all gamblers. All right, man. Slick, leave us with the final words.
And don't trust no algorithms.
Oh, the algo shout out. Algos.
I can't believe in algo for fights, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's if someone came to me and they were like, "I got a fight algorithm," I'd be like, "I can't talk to you." That's what? Okay. For myself, Mr. Plus Money, and Slick Montana, and Cal on the ones and twos. I'm Danny Brasco. Thanks for watching, guys. We love you. Good luck. Peace out.
Jasmine Jasovizzi is here. Don't forget to tap into the Darce podcast.
The Darce choke is a submission executed from the front headlock position. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Tap into the Darce podcast.